The first strategy that we're going to talk about for how you build your self-esteem is to get feedback. Get feedback from other reliable sources. And that feedback that you get are from people you respect, sometimes admire. Oftentimes they are the people who you absolutely trust, that they are going to give you honest feedback, not a bunch of bullshit, but really tell you how it is. And they're going to lift up all of your strengths, all of your good qualities, and all those things that you need to know if you don't, or to affirm if you already know them. They're also going to help you recognize some information about yourself that for whatever reason you don't know or you don't buy into. All right? To do that, we use a really, really cool instrument called the Johari window. So I'm going to give this to you for you to take your notes on. This is explained in your textbook, but I'm going to give it to you in a little bit different perspective. Okay, so the Johari window was actually developed by two guys, Joseph and Harry, hence Johari. And what they wanted to do was to capture another model to explain our ability to self-disclose, the quality of our self-disclosure, and the types or manners that we use to self-disclose. Okay? So let's start off by answering, what is this term, to self-disclose? What does that mean?
Be honest.
Be honest about yourself to others. That's right. So your ability to say, I am honest about myself, and I'm going to disclose, I'm going to unveil it, I'm going to release it, I'm going to verbally say it, or I'm going to physically show it to others. All right? It is typically determined by a consciousness. I am going to choose this moment in time to tell others about myself, something about myself. I'm going to choose to do it. But these two gentlemen, through a lot of observational research and communication studies, discovered that oftentimes you are self-disclosing information about yourself, not even knowing that you are. Or at least not conscious of it. Yes?
That's going back to saying that you cannot not communicate.
That's right. This is my favorite. Exactly. You cannot not communicate. So you may think you're choosing to keep some things hidden, and other times, no. You know, the expression, you wear your heart on your sleeve, all right? Those are people who can read your emotions or reading your feelings in that moment just by observing you and what you say and what you don't say, all right? You know, what you do and what you don't do, all right? So you have in front of you, and they call it a window because it's a way of looking inside of you, all right? So when you look at the boxes, you're going to see that there are labels for them. And the first box right there on the left says that this is your open self. All right. And then at the very top of that, you see it says, I know this about me. Okay. I know these things about me. And you see over on the left, it says it's known to others, which means others know it too. That's your open self. Those are the things that you readily say to others. Those are the things that people can look at the color of your skin and figure out. Those are the things that people can, read a bio about you, etc. Or these are things that when you introduce yourself to a group or whatever, this is who you say you are. Okay? Known to yourself. It's your open box. Open to yourself and open to everybody. All right. This, the bottom one you see says your hidden area. This is your hidden box. Your hidden self. All right. So it's in this category, all right, because you know this about yourself. So I know this about myself. But it's in this box which says not known by anyone else. Or very, very, very few people. So these are your secrets. Right? These are the pieces of experiences or the physical information you know about yourself or mental information or what have you that you have chosen to not tell anybody. Now, oftentimes the question is, will people know these? Probably not. That's why they're in this line right here. They're not known by anybody else. Because this is the box that you can choose to self-disclose. You can make a decision right now, and with these people, yes, I'm going to tell it to these people. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to go over to this box. I'm going to skip that one for a moment. And in this box, you see that it says your unknown box. And this is your unknown self. All right? It's on this axis because nobody else knows about this. But over here, what I'm going to put up here is I don't know about myself. Okay? Your unknown self means it hasn't been discovered. I actually like to say this is the to be discovered box because it has lots of opportunities in here about who you are and what you're becoming. And other people don't know it either. All right? So let me give you an example. This is the coolest thing that ever happened to me. You guys may have noticed I'm a little short. And I have never been an athlete, ever. I mean, I was a cheerleader, but it's not as competitive as it was, the way it is in today's terms. I've always been a really good fan. I've always been, the athletic supporter. Yeah. Anyway, that was supposed to be a joke for anybody. Thank you for laughing. What we have is, because I've never seen myself as an athlete, when I got into business, I was told that I had to learn to play golf. If I was going to play with the big boys, literally, and I needed to be competitive in the boardroom as well as in the meetings, working with our clients, etc., I need to be out there on the course with them because that's when deals are being made, discussions are talked about, etc. And I'm going, shit. Okay? That is nothing I wanted to do. So I was in Dallas, Texas, and I decided, all right, fine. Well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to learn to play. So I signed up for some golf lessons. And I discovered, along with my husband, who was also doing the lessons with me, he's a natural athlete, so it didn't count. I'm pretty good. I was shocked. And here's the example where I learned about myself, and my husband learned about me. He's going, oh, wow. You see, I may not hit it very far, but I'm straight. I hit it straight every time. Who knows why? But when I hit it on my drives, it's there. It's where I want it to go. My husband, Mr. Big-time football player, basketball, baseball player, who was still swinging the golf club like it was a baseball bat, would hook all over the place. And it would just go, who knew? I mean, it was bouncing off trees, it was going in the woods, into the sand, and I'm going, it was so fun. Because in golf, it's about the number of strokes, right?
Right.
So I would have fewer strokes to the hole than he would because of having to dig it out of the sand or taking a pass because of the going into the water. And I'm going, yes, yes, yes. Now my husband's 6'1", so this is making me feel really good, okay? I discovered something new about myself, and so did he. So when we used to go to the golf range, the driving range, and he used to be behind me, I said, oh no, you're gonna be in front of me. Because that guy would proceed to try and coach me at the driving range on how to hit the ball. I'm like, what about the last score did you not understand? Okay, I'm better at this than you. I may not hit it as far, but I have fewer strokes. That's the name of this game, right? Of course, he soon surpassed me, soon became much, much better than I, because that's the way it goes. But I was able to then go play golf with the big guys. I didn't have to drive the beer cart. Instead, I was actually out there playing. That's a fun discovery. And oftentimes, you got to do these things for that discovery. You have to take risks. All right. Now, go to this box. All right. This is the important box. There are two elements about this box that are critical. And if you want honest feedback from people you trust, from meaningful people, so that you can grow in your own self-esteem, and you can grow as an individual, personally, professionally, academically, athletically, or whatever. This is the box you want to pay attention to. I don't know this about myself. Others do know about me. So this is what's known as your blind box. Your blind self. For whatever set of reasons, you have decided that when people say or bring this to your attention, you either discount it, negate it, refuse to believe it, consider the source so you don't listen, or whatever else is a schema inside your brain to drive your reaction. But when this box is really, really listened to, that's when you can grow. And that's when you can build your self-esteem. Now, oftentimes, you may not hear the constructive criticism for a lot of reasons. You just don't want to hear anybody put you down or criticize you. That's hard. I understand that. But listen when people give you a compliment? When somebody gives you genuine praise, you say, oh, nah. Were you taught to be so humble that you never accepted somebody's praise towards you? Shake it off and said, oh, it was just luck. The Johari window says that when somebody cares enough to give you genuine praise, genuine compliments, feedback that is going to help you recognize your strengths as much as your opportunities, listen. Listen. And the proper response when somebody gives you praise is the same proper response when somebody gives you constructive criticism. Thank you. I need to think about what you said. I need to process it. And that's it. That's it. That's the same response you give when somebody praises you, as well as when somebody says, if they are a coach or a teacher or, a scout leader or a supervisor, anybody, even a police officer who stops you. All right? You say, thank you. I need to think about what you said. And then you do. You quietly go off and you reflect. And you do that. I don't know if you guys read this guy's discussion forum, but he did a self-disclosure after the game. They weren't coached much after. Yes, you did. Okay? And he self-disclosed something about himself that when after I read that, I'm going, especially with his analysis of what had happened. And the man, can I have a do-over? Right? And so you may not have said thank you, but you did think about it, didn't you? Has it changed you? Okay. You still fall back to old ways? Okay, sometimes. But when you fall back to your old ways, you remember what that coach said? Don't suppress your mind. Get it back in your mind so it doesn't just freeze. No across. Get it in there. Okay? Because that is a learning moment. That coach, after that game, could have just left and said nothing. That coach cared enough about an individual to use the opportunity for a teachable moment. That's a good coach. That would have been a good coach. To have the courage to go up to a player after the game who is not his player and make an observation that was so meaningful. Now, the coach might have thought, oh, he'll blow it off and never think about it. But man, I wish we could tell that coach right now. You could send him an email right now and tell him, I have thought about what you said, and it has made a difference. He gave you a huge compliment, didn't he? Huge compliment. Right? And with that compliment, of what he said, he learned something about himself, or continued to know that he was a really, really, really good player. But the blind spot was also shared. That's when you get feedback. It's so positive and so powerful, is when you give constructive criticism and you combine it with a positive praise, then it's going to hold. It's going to make a difference, right? Because that's when you see the potential in yourself, especially when it comes from, again, somebody you respect, somebody who is important, somebody who's important. So I will be happy to give anybody a bunch of copies of this, right? And my challenge to you is to give this to, 3 people. They could be friends, teachers, colleagues, kids, whomever. And at the bottom of the list, there are examples of descriptor words. And you can ask a person, you can ask these people, you put your name up here, it says your worksheet 4, so I would say for Ms. K, to be completed by, and you put the name of the person here, right? And then you would, ask them, to the best of your knowledge about who I am, fill this in. And you can tell the person, you may not say anything here, okay, unless it's like a person who does have a confidence from you, in which they may say something that you'll hide from others. They probably won't do anything here because nobody knows that yet. The open box, they're going to fill in lots of things that they think that you know about yourself as well as others. Lots of others know about you, all right? And then over here, they're going to put in some other things. And you can ask them to put positives as well as constructive. Okay? And then, give it to them, leave it with them for a day or two, and then ask them to give it back to you. And then what you do is you take all 3 of them, and you lay them side by side. Now, nobody is limited to these descriptors. These are just some examples of descriptive words that people can use about you. Right? And then you lay those 3 in front of you, and you look for common threads. What is similar or the same that other people have said about you, especially in the hidden box? Don't discount the open box either, because that can be interesting as well. Now, ask yourself, how much of what was written over here and even here, or who knows there, did you choose to self-disclose to that person? And what is the person picking up unknowingly, that you don't even know you are projecting that information? It's new, you don't mean to come across as arrogant. You think you're coming across as self-confident. But the words that other people might say are conceited and arrogant. And you see yourself, you choosing to display confidence. So you're going to look for the similarities and differences, and then you're going to say, I see myself as confident. Others see me as arrogant or conceited. What's the difference? You guys tell me. What's the difference between those words?
Oh, conceited. It's like,
Self-absorbed. Conceited is very much, very much all about you. Okay? So conceited, that's a good way to put it. Self-absorbed. That's good. I'm good. You know, I don't care about anybody else. I'm, you know, my shit don't stink. Okay? Good. And what about arrogant? Like you're better than everybody. That's right. Sucks to be you. Too bad you're not me. Right? Versus confident. When you know of a confident person, imagine somebody inside your head right now, famous or not, or somebody that you know, who comes across confident, but not arrogant and not conceited. How do they behave? Yes.
So, I always play about that. Even about it. It's free.
Very good. Good. Yes. We think of leaders as being confident versus the other two. Right. So they're displaying a sense of behavior that others want to follow. Right. There is a demeanor about them that they see positives in situations. Yes.
I can see it, but like, dude, I think positive is so, like me, I feel like I'm a conceited person that also feels confident. Like, that made me confident in myself, like, say with basketball. I think highly of myself with basketball, but also builds my confidence, like, on more, like, I believe in what I can do. Like, I don't feel like, well, he might be better than me.
Okay.
Because I know that, like, I'm good already. So then, like, it just builds my confidence up to be like, yeah, I can take him on, or I can take him on. You know?
Absolutely. And that's part of looking for the strategies that help you feel better about yourself. So that's a strategy that you can utilize for your self-esteem. It helps your self-esteem. The question becomes, how do others see your behavior? Do they see that behavior as somebody who's confident or conceited? And it's a filter, all right? So it's a definition that we put on it. Remember we talked about the connotation and the denotation of words? So a connotation is that you feel good about yourself. You feel good about yourself, you know, your abilities. That's confidence. But if you come across, it crosses over and it becomes conceited if other people see your behavior on the court, during practice, walking around campus, where you are holding yourself, talking about yourself, that comes across as these two things, that takes away from being appearing confident. You may feel it, but you may not appear confident. Okay? So that's a really important distinction. It's sometimes hard because here's a phrase. Oh, sorry, I'm writing this off of my screen for others. Put it over here. Appearance. Sorry. Here's the phrase. Perception is more real than reality. Right? So, and for video land, those words over there are confident, arrogant, and conceited. So, the perception of how others see you and understand you and your behaviors and what you say and what you do and don't do and say, etc. This is more real to an individual than whatever the reality is. So if my perception of you, like that coach, the coach's perception of you was an attitude problem, right? Okay. You, however, don't really think of it at that time, did not see that as an attitude problem. You saw it as, hey, nobody's going to mess with me. I'm confident, right? Right. The coach's perception was more real in that moment than any reality that you had, right? So this is what we call, we do this a lot in communication, impression management. Impression management. You can, by choosing how to disclose your attitude or your feelings or your perceptions of yourself, etc., to manage what impression others have of you. You can choose that. Sometimes it's almost like having an out-of-body experience where you have to say, oh, wait, oh, right now, okay. You don't want to be shaking your hands right now. You want to talk with a clear voice, and you want to project it so that you sound like you know what you're talking about. I can manage other people's impressions, their perceptions, all right, to be a better version of myself or a good version of myself, right? So it's hard. It's hard when, especially if you have been fed, any of us, if we have been fed that the proper way to behave is. And let's say you were raised by a male who wanted you to be strong and not back down and stand up for yourself and all these things. Does that constant tape going off on your head make you then be almost aggressive, right, toward others? Or do you have another voice, other caretaker, who might be saying, yes, be strong, yes, stand up for yourself, but also know when to walk away. Yes? Know when to say, this isn't worth hurting my reputation for. You see? Questions? Comments? It's complicated, isn't it? It's complicated. All right, I'm going to turn off our thing right now.